how good and how powerful did you feel by having the initiative to go, nah, not for me?
The no, the magical word no, or not for us, or not, we're not quite the right builders for you. It's one of the greatest things I've learned to do over the past 2 years.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. As you'll see, we're not in the shed again today. We've got another recording. I'm pumped about this one. So this particular guest we have on today, it's going to be an absolute cracker. I was actually going back through my phone, searching for through all the messages over the last couple of years, and it's actually been early 2019 since we connected on social media, and there's been a lot of messages backwards and forwards since then. But watching this guy's growth over the last few years has been absolutely awesome. So massive warm welcome to Jack from Nook Constructions. How are you, mate?
Very, very, mate. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction.
Nah, mate, look, it's it's been really cool over the past few years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're quite a young business.
Yeah, we are. As far as licensed builders, we're 3 and a bit years in now. So we literally launched Nook Construction at Builders and License. Literally went down, popped onto the television and said, "Shut up shop, everyone."
Yeah, no, and it's mate, it's been awesome just seeing you reach out over the years and ask questions, and even just some of the comments you've had on some of the posts that I've done. Like, it just shows that you're obviously you're really big on personal growth and things. And I'd love, next time I'm down there, I really would love to come and see one of your sites, because seriously, you have the cleanest and most organised job sites I've ever seen, and like in person and on social media. I'd like to drag this out and talk a lot more about this in detail, because one of the posts probably going back 2 years ago from you was I did a post about our site signage and our site rules, and I think you sent me a post saying, "Holy shit, that's fantastic! Like, do you ever have to backcharge trades? Like, do they follow your rules?"
Yeah.
So then you've just taken that next level. Like, I see some of the posts you do on social media, mate, and everything is color coded and signed. Like, tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, I guess maybe it comes from a bit of a competitive side of things. When I saw your signs, I'm like, all right, Dwayne's done it. I'm going to take it to the next level. Let's do it. When you go through any kind of business, like let's say you go to a doctor, and, it's the whole place is really well designed. You walk in, like hospitals as well. Everyone's really well informed, purely through maybe from a HR side of things. But they seem like very organised operations. So it makes sense in my head that why can't we make our sites, that kind of operation? It's really not that hard. You bang out some signs. I try to make it a little bit more relaxed and personable. Not like we're running a dictatorship over here. So, but yeah, I guess it kind of just stemmed from that, and then these things kind of pop up on site. If there's, for example, recently we've kind of really ramped up our recycling and waste management, and it's so hard to communicate with guys that don't really understand it. So let's make them understand it with some really clear-cut signs. There's illustrations. There's color coding bins. It makes it simple for everyone. I think that's what's really important.
How do you, I'm not sure, because I see a lot of guys in Melbourne doing this sort of thing. Like, do you guys, I think you guys must have a lot more options than us up here in Queensland for recycling, because we've tried it many times separating different bins and things, and the contractors basically say, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, we don't pick up separate bins for this and that and the other." So we've taken it upon our own hands. We got our own rubbish trailers, and we separate things as much as possible on site, and we take the metal to the scrappies, and we take the general rubbish to the recycling dump. We pull all the timber out and save that. So what's the story down there with Melbourne? Is there different companies picking up different bins?
Yeah, look, we're doing the same thing. We're taking these bins to certain areas around Melbourne. Soft plastic, literally no one's taking those in Melbourne. We are finding it's honestly it's getting onto the right people that hear about someone and take these places. So we've been talking a lot with Mark from MVH, Hamish from Sanctum, obviously you had previously. But there's a bit of a crew going on where we're helping each other out, getting contacts and finding areas where we can put places rubbish for recycling. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to stand up and say it's not 100% working. there are teething issues, but
But as builders, we play a massive role in reducing waste, don't we? Because like our industry just has so much waste.
we're one of the biggest. I think recently we were floating around that 30% mark, which is just full on. So, and I think from a ground perspective, like if, us smaller guys can kind of start setting some standards. Hopefully, there's a bit of community change. People kind of just catch on. But yeah, that's the idea of sharing this stuff.
Yeah, it's just about leading by example, isn't it? And the more people doing it, the easier it's going to get for companies to, like, someone's going to jump on it and start separating more rubbish if they see more builders willing to put the time and effort into doing it, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about Robbie from Revival down there? Like, man, he's like next level. Like the recycling those guys do is insane. I just saw recently he's making bricks out of, is it sawdust or something? Like,
mate, he's one of the big inspirations of a lot of our guys. I think he is certainly around reusing materials. We've taken on, especially with this project that we're doing. We're also working with an amazing architecture firm that are doing a lot of stuff in that realm as well, and giving us the freedom to put our skills into place and be able to reuse existing materials on site to fabricate really cool stuff out of stuff that was definitely going to last.
yeah, the oh, look, I apologise to the listeners if it's a bit glitchy. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think it'll probably record all right. But mate, just back to the signs, because you put signs on everything. Like, I love your stories when you show different signs, and like you're big on your floor protection and your joinery protection, and like I'd like to know how it actually works on site. Like, do your trades, are they all over it, or like do you have to keep on their back about things? Like,
Look, probably the biggest challenge is sometimes when we've got maybe a language barrier, which happens. Obviously we're in a city of melting pot of multicultural kind of folks. That's probably our biggest challenge at the moment. But again, we've got guys that we've been working with for 15 plus years. They know how to go, and also we operate with trade agreements as well, especially with potentially guys that are kind of new to us. It's all pretty clear cut on our expectations.
yeah,
And people really do get involved with it, and even sometimes they take it even beyond that, and they're actually policing our guys that might make mistakes. It's incredible.
yeah. Oh, mate, I love it. And I think it's fantastic to see. Like, surely clients that are thinking about using Nook Constructions would just like be frothing when they see these posts that you're putting all these signage up. Like, you put them on door cupboards, and I've seen you put them on island benches, on stairs, like, and then you do like a full mark out, don't you, when you're doing a refurb, and like you identify like things that have to be salvaged and things that have to be looked after, and like you must have this whole process that happens on site before even any demolition work starts, by the look of it.
Yeah, so actually it's part of our kind of contract, preliminary stuff that we organise it's called trying to get blank. Existing resource plan. My apologies. So we'll go out pre-contract and we'll identify everything we will already reuse into the site. We'll make a giant list of each room, and then when demolition happens, we give this to either us or a demo contractor, and guys will actually literally pluck out what's on the existing resource plans, store it onto the site, and then we can then progress the demolition. So we've pulled out all that resource, we're protecting it for later on. So
Yeah,
big important part of it.
yeah, it's fantastic. And then obviously a lot of those materials have the storage on site. There's moving around the site and all those types of things. So you have your own process, don't you? Like we have our pack process. I know you have your own process in those early stages where you document all this, and then obviously by doing that, it allows you to include costs to manage and do all that work in your contract.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we obviously, our demo or our deconstruction process is one of our larger formats because we offer this service. And that's also a reason it helps us kind of vet clients as well. If people aren't really, if this isn't important to them, that's kind of an indication we might not be the right builders for them. It's something that's really important to us, part of our process, and also part of our direction where we want to be as people and as a business. So
yeah, and that's
important.
that's like to me, that's the number one. Like you to have a magic business, like a successful, profitable, very smooth running business, like a big part of it is, like you just said, it's attracting the clients that want to do what you're doing, isn't it? So you
Oh,
putting yourself out there, doing your story, showing all this protection, showing all your pre-construction work that you do during your design development and all that sort of stuff. Like that is solving so many problems that people, like the clients, are concerned about. And
yeah,
so you're nailing it all on the head before you even go to contract. So like it's a win-win for everybody.
absolutely. And not just clients. Well, we've attracted some incredible employees as well that want to get around that as well. And as soon as you can attract that attitude, with the guys that want to be a part of that, we can teach carpentry. And my kind of opinion when we get employees, 80% of it's attitude. We can teach like the carpentry component quite easily, but if you don't have that attitude, to take on what we're about, it probably won't show.
Yeah, you're right. Like it's a flowing, isn't it? So you're not just attracting the right clients; you're attracting the right employees, contractors,
Right?
suppliers,
Yeah, 100%
architects, designers. Like,
big part of it for sure. And I guess as a business, we only do kind of work with architects and interior designers. Most of the time, they're coming to us and bringing clients to us, and then we start the process from there. Hopefully, it's not we're at kind of design and development stage, not too far down the line when we're getting finished drawings. We've learned from that process early days that we don't get involved in everything.
yeah. So, mate, tell us a bit of the background of Nook. So, is your background carpentry?
Yeah, carpenter by trade. And we've got a group of kind of 5, 6 guys, and they're all carpenters, so we've got in-house carpentry. But where we started was actually doing a lot of owner-builder stuff prior to our licensing. We had some really good opportunities to build actually architect homes, and that was a great way to cut our teeth. Really intense clientele, really intense, constant meetings, constant, invoicing, accounting. It's really important stuff to kind of work that out prior to jumping into business, we feel.
Yeah.
And it's really set us up when we started Nook Construction as licensed builders. It's kind of gave us a good launching pad, I suppose.
So, how have you gone with the transition from carpentry to builder to running a business?
Um, Question. Currently, I love every aspect of it. I do miss the carpentry side of things. That's certainly where my heart lies. I love the craftsmanship side of things. I love getting in the trenches with my guys, but there's an obvious reason why that can't constantly happen. So
It's the same story, eh? Like that's like tradies get into the business because they love whatever particular trade it is they're doing, and then the business side of things takes over. So it's finding that balance of keeping that passion, and maybe I think like what you've done now, like you're now using your passion in the salvaging the materials, the detailed signage, the color coding. Like tell us a little bit about the color coding, mate, because I think it's friggin' awesome. I we have in my building business, we've got definitely got a long way to go with this, but like all of our jobs have a whiteboard and they get set up with a site bench, a plan desk, and a set of coloured pens. And it's not too often you see too many colours getting used. It's always the one colour. But I get to decide, I do my thing, and then it's hard to keep on the boys' backs all the time to make sure they keep writing on the whiteboard, updating things and colour
yeah,
coding things.
definitely. I think it's definitely on the site manager, whoever that may be, on a site to really take hold of that. I think we run about we're at 8 colours now on the site, which is pretty insane. Um,
So what's the colour? So this sounds like a good thing. So are you using the same colour for the same thing on every job?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's streamlined throughout all our projects. The new one that we've added is the reclaim salvage. That's part of our existing resource plan. So as soon as someone sees a bit of yellow tape, yellow spray, everyone can identify that and detect that, and make sure everyone's aware that that's actually as valuable as something that you would buy from the hardware store.
Yeah, right. So do you like? Is there like a somewhere on site or on your plans that tells people? Yeah, yeah, it tells
Definitely.
people the different
Yeah.
colours.
So we've got when we identify the resource, we'll obviously carefully either it has to stay in place and we'll protect it, or we'll remove it and we actually build racks on site where it gets salvaged and stored. And then we've actually, on our next project, we've actually coding the salvage material, and we're transferring that code onto the plant, so you can actually see exactly where that bit of material is going on plant.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. We've got one architect we work for that does that, like codes everything, and it's just so easy. The most time consuming bit is those first few days on site, just going around, identifying everything, putting whatever, some sort of tape on it and writing on it what it is, and all those types of things. But to me, it's just so worth it. Like,
Oh,
um, I'm all for the more recycled materials we can reuse in our projects, the better. It's just it's helping the planet, it's reducing waste, so
yeah,
it's a
and I
good
think
thing.
it's definitely a mindset. I think when I was first doing it, I got a lot of feedback from guys, on some social media and stuff, just saying, this is all well and good, but the amount of time and money that you need to put into this is, is it feasible? You got to make it feasible. You got to find the clients that want to make it feasible. You got to find the design team that want to make it feasible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's feasible, but you might not have the right client for it, and you just got to make sure that you're finding clients to make it feasible. That's as simple as that. And you've really got to have a passion for it. If you're just ticking your box, I don't think you might. It's not really going to shake out.
But like I think it's like you just said, mate. Like I actually think there is a lot of more traders and builders that would love to be doing this, but
Mm.
they focus on the dollars. And you're 100% correct. The first thing they say is no one's going to pay for that. Like that's going to take me a lot of time. It's going to take me more effort. Like I don't make money on my jobs as it is. Like I can't charge any more. But it comes back to what we talked about. Like you have to be attracting clients and staff and whatever that have the same morals, values, opinions, everything is you. And when you do attract those clients, that's where the magic happens, because then you're going to get a client that you can work with, you can educate, you can explain to them that, hey, like we've actually got to spend time and money and labor to pull that down and to store it on site and to rebuild it for you or to repurpose it into something else. But for me, the most powerful part of being a builder these days is educating it's not up to me to tell my clients what I see value in or what things are going to cost. It's up to me to educate them so they can tell me what they see value in. And if they decide that they see value in spending time and money with me and my team to repurpose things, to salvage things, that is fantastic. And it's actually incredible. It's funny, we're on a bit of a mission at the moment. Like over the next couple of years, we're really changing um, our business to be a lot more about this. And we've hardly even put it out there yet. Like just a few stories and a few posts here and there. And mate, they come out of the woodwork. Like
Yeah,
so many people want to go down this path.
yeah. Where was that new? Is this a new passion that you guys have, drunken in, or is this someone inspiring you externally? Where does this kind of come from? Because it's interesting, because this is a recent thing for us as well, I suppose. Um, I'm kind of saying, is it deep seated thing within us, or is it someone that inspired us, I suppose? So,
Mate, for me, my wife and I, we've had this passion for a very long time. So, um, we've never lived in a brand new house. Like over the last 10, 15 years, like we've renovated every house we've lived in. We've never lived in a finished home because we get to a certain point and then someone offers us money and we sell it and we move on to the next project. But like even on our own projects, like we are trying to reuse as many materials as we can that we've saved or had left over from previous projects. Mate, I don't know. My parents always remind me when I was a kid, like driving. Um, my mum and dad's family lived like 2 hours from where we were, so like we were always driving weekends and things to see them. So we saw a lot of progress with roadworks and new highways and things. And my mum and dad always remind me like how I used to be so disappointed when they were just knocking all these trees down and like all this type of thing. And I think it goes right back to that. So
awesome.
as long as I can remember, I've always been passionate about the hardwood. Like my great granddad was a builder, and like they used to do with their bare hands. They would lop the tree, they would mill it on site, they would machine it into whatever they needed it for, and so they went from the tree to the finished project. And when I think about the effort that went into the hardwood that's in the buildings that we work on these days, I cannot believe that people don't salvage more of it. because we will never ever get that hardwood, all the skilled craftsmen that cut that timber and built those buildings back. So I think it's a bit of a. I think builders need to take it more seriously and salvage more of this stuff. Like we have a responsibility to, because you think nothing shits me more now. Like you drive past all these people buy these blocks of land and split them and build one home and stuff, and you just see these excavators just smashing houses up and just putting in the back of the truck, and like once it's in a hole in the ground, it ain't coming back.
No, yeah, God knows where they're taking those, all of that land. You'd hope that it's going to nice transfer stations.
Yeah, but mate, I guess to answer your question, it's what we just talked about. Like I used to make the excuse as well that like I would try and introduce it on jobs for the last 10 years, and I just wasn't doing it the right way. And I don't know, it got to, think as I've got more passionate about it, and then I think COVID actually really helped what we're doing now, because a lot of people started seeing value in recycling and being more healthy and permaculture and all these different things because they wanted to be more healthy. And then obviously there's another, like we had Zara on the podcast not that long ago, like the healthy home stuff. Like, so I think there's a lot more people talking about it now. And yeah, I do truly believe, as I said before, I used to focus too much on telling the client what something was worth instead of me telling them what it was going to cost and them telling me what they see value in. And that's changed everything, because now they tell me, like, so we work through them the pack process. Like we do the similar to you. We go to site. We got a few jobs on at the moment where we're measuring up existing decking timber and all the decking boards and the rafters and working out the walls that are going to be demolished and how many studs and things are going to be in those walls, and they're going to get repurposed into timber screening and battening and all this type of stuff. And so we, a lot of the time we'll put those things in as an allowance. And then, like I said, it's up to the client. Like they say, oh, well, yeah, we're fine to do that. And if it's not, then these days we don't not do it. We just take the timber back to our yard. So, and we'll find another purpose for it. But I don't know, mate. Timber, hardwood, we're never going to get timber like it ever again. So
no, yeah, I think we definitely in Australia we certainly fetishize amazing timber. We've got quite a proud history of logging and beautiful timbers like native timbers, and they are shrinking at a rapid rate. In Victoria, we won't be able to log any more national parks and ones that plantations and all that things, which is coming in January. So the value that we need to start putting on materials and recycling needs to exponentially grow over the next couple of months.
yeah.
You start getting serious about it.
But even not the like just seeing on your post, mate, the stuff you say we're the same. Like I just think how like everything these days is so conscious around price, and a lot of the time the clients are conscious on price because builders and tradies aren't educating them. And like you see, again, like I touched on before, like I just see so much value in the old timers and what they did. Like you turn up to a 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s home and they got like this detailed metal balustrading or detailed brickwork or whatever it may be, like timber work even. And I just think to myself, like, there is a lot of time in that. Like that should not go in the ground, because that's taken, like if I was to build that same thing now, it would cost a fortune. So what can we do with it?
Yeah, exactly. I've got a story about this recent project with kind of me working through. As part of our existing resource plan, we wanted to salvage as much as Western red cedar as possible. Western red cedar in Australia pretty much all exclusively comes from Canada. And we identified if we were to get more cedar, it would be instantly, the amount of air miles involved with any form of cedar in Australia is outrageous. So let's avoid cedar where we can. We don't want to purchase any cedar. So we ripped out all the cedar. We had these beautiful door jambs that are all made out of cedar. We had old windows that we pulled apart and we stashed them onto our racks. And we actually made baseboards out of these cedars, out of the old jams. We did some laminating of some 22 mil thick cedar. We made 44 mil styles for our new windows. Pretty much fabricating brand new items through this salvage material, and they haven't done one M, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And again, that's like the thing I find now too, once we educate clients about this, like there's a lot of designers and architects out there, like I know the ones we work with, like this stuff excites them. Like having me involved in the early stages and working collaboratively to identify what is sustainable and able to be repurposed and all those types of things. But for me, it adds character straight away. Like for a client, like you can walk into a finished new home or renovation and be like, oh, like that was the old windows, like that was the old door jams, like you have this character straight away.
That was one of the best parts at the site meeting after. I pointed at the baseboard and said, guess what that was? That was your old master bedroom door jams. Like,
Yeah,
they were like, no way. And they went up to it and they're like touching on it's just the baseboard. But there's story involved. And we identified we were going to do that before contract. And they were jazzed about it. So seeing it actually implemented and us talking about it and showing that this is what value we're going to bring to the project and then being jazzed about it, it was just, amazing feels all around.
yeah. And it's the same. I think it's the same through the entire industry. Like for so long, and look, there's definitely a lot of it happens out there now. Like it is so driven by the final number, and I think so many trades and builders are missing incredible opportunities, like because they get caught in that cycle. Like I need this job, I've got to be the lowest price. Like I can't, like I don't have time to salvage that. Like that's going to take more time and money. Like I need to be the cheapest. Instead of going to a meeting and saying to the clients, oh, geez, like I'm a big fan of, you've got to connect with your client. And you can tell, like we attract them now just by everything we put out on socials, as I'm sure you do. But like connecting with a client and seeing what they see value in, and it could be anything. Like we've connected with clients because of I've turned up to a site meeting and they've got a beehive in the backyard and my wife's into bees. I can start a conversation. Or the kids' playhouse is built out of recycled timber and you're like, oh, we'll be able to recycle that and do something with it. Or like we've got a job at the moment where there's an old shed in the backyard and it's going to be knocked down. And so I've said to the clients, like, well, why don't we use all that material to actually build the pool house? And they're like, what? You'll do that? And I'm like, yeah, like for sure. Like
totally. And if you're
so,
bringing that motivation, that inspiration, you can totally inspire someone that maybe hasn't quite, that thought process hasn't changed yet. But as soon as you start talking about it, of course we could. Why wouldn't we?
yeah.
Utilize amazing product. At the same time as well, when you're talking about connecting with clients, just by those little things. Recently I went to a meet and greet, and that same kind of mentality actually, asking questions that were important to me, important to our business, actually made our decision to walk away from the project. I think that's really important as well. If you can't connect with a client on things that you're passionate about, again, that might not be the right, client to work with.
Mate, that's just next level. Like, and I think again, so many builders and trades, like they're just chasing their tail. But like, how good and how powerful did you feel by having the initiative to go, nah, not for me? Like
The magical word no, or not for us, or not, we're not quite the right builders for you. It's one of the greatest things I've learned to do over the past 2 years. It's knowing those questions to ask to identify whether we are or not going to work together. That's really important, and that takes practice, that takes trial and error, and that takes a bit of failure as well.
So what was it like? Can you pinpoint like what was it absolutely at that meeting?
Yeah. Amazing job in a really beautiful suburb in Melbourne. The architects hadn't reached out to us. It was called direct. Client heard about us on the grapevine from other people that we were working with. I went and had a chat with them. Beautiful design, probably floating around the $2 million mark, which is, you hear those numbers, right? Let's start conversating about what we're going to do with gas. How do you guys feel about gas? How do you guys feel about, working towards maybe a bit more high performance kind of windows? There are these windows that have been specified, they're not going to do very well in the long run. How do you guys feel about it? Are you guys motivated by those high performance ideas? And they were just like, no, we just want to. So instantly, my passion started to dwindle. You know, and yeah, I went home, had to think about it on the drive home, and I just said, look, that didn't jazz me up. I'm going to be working with these people for 14 to 16 months. Yeah, the money might be great, but that's personally not my motivation. I want to work with awesome people. Obviously, you want to be successful and keep yourself sustainable and earning what you need to.
Did you see any opportunity there to educate them on maybe something like maybe they didn't know more enough about it? Like,
I
yeah,
tried. I went, discussed about gas is moving away. Obviously, it's one of our biggest kind of fossil fuels that we use in a home, and how much electricity and solar is accessible now. And we spoke about the impact of cooktop. I tried, I've done a lot of research stuff. I've been speaking to, professional industry professionals about it, but some people are just stuck in their ways.
yeah, yeah. Oh, mate, it's a minefield. Like, there is so much out there. Like, I know even myself, like the solar thing. I've only literally jumped on the solar thing in the last couple of years. Like, for a long time there, I just couldn't stand what the solar panels were made of, and they were terrible for the environment. They can't be recycled and those types of things. And so I'm sort of won over with the solar, but I'm definitely not a fan of lithium batteries. I think they're the worst thing in the world for the planet. But it's all about educating yourself, and so that you can make your own decisions. And everybody's going to have different opinions on different things. But like, you think of us as builders and the amount of stuff that we have to try and keep up to date with and educate ourselves on. Like, how do you feel for the poor client that is like trying to build a one-off home or renovation, and they're getting told all these different things from all these different builders? Like, it is hard.
100%. And I think they also have a bit of responsibility to get involved with their build. But we also have a responsibility as builders to certainly steer them in the direction of what our build intent is.
Yeah,
As I said, we're not going to build it for everyone.
yeah,
There is definitely a builder out for you that will, provide what you guys need. Might not be Nook Construction, might not be DP.
yeah. So you're obviously playing in the high performance space. Like, again, I love your videos. I see one recently where I think you were making some custom flashings or something. You were doing some demos, pouring some water out of a bottle down the wall and showing people where the water ran. And like, I think it's fantastic. I think the more education you can do to people, the better.
Yeah, we love our flashing here at Nook. We love hitting it with water. I guess I certainly wouldn't put my hand up and say that Nook Constructions a high performance builder. We use the up to date, building wraps. We try and remove all thermal in the house, but I think the high performance brush is just being used too much this day and age. I consider ourselves more architectural builders that want to build a bit beyond the Australian standard, which we think is bloody garbage
Yeah,
in comparison with the rest of the world. But yeah, we pick a few kind of high performance details. We kind of pinch a bit from Passive House, which we're actually Passive House certified now as of last week. So yeah.
very good.
So we might move into that space, but as of yet, we're remaining as architectural builders that want to build above the standards and provide our clients with really watertight, well designed, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm hearing you. I think like I did my passive house course last year, and again, it was more. I just like educating myself. I like to be able to educate myself so that I can make my own decisions on things. And for us at DPS Constructions, it's similar to you. Like, we just want to build really well built, above the standard houses, which, like, at the end of the day, isn't that hard to do. But like, the way I always look at it is, I can drive past houses that were built 100, 150 years ago. So why can't I build homes now that will be around 100, 150 years? And if they're built with good products, the flashing, like, water's the biggest problem with most homes, isn't it? Like,
80% of building failure is moisture.
yeah, and like, people just don't get it. Like, you really got to, like, I think we're probably getting to a point where Australia is going to go through like the leaky home syndrome, like Europe has and New Zealand has, and I definitely think it's starting to show here. And we're having lots of homes now with mold and timber rot and all those types of things. So again, I think I'm sure you do. I take it very seriously as a builder. Like it's my responsibility to make sure I'm not adding to that problem.
Exactly right. We've definitely got a responsibility to our clients, and certainly personally, we kind of feel that we've got a bit of a legacy to leave on the earth. I suppose if we're going to build these big homes, we don't want them to last 10 years. We want them to be there for 50 to 100. I think longevity is one of the most sustainable things you can do.
Mate, I'm 100%. If I could high five you, I would. Like it's like that. That's my thing. Like I hate it. Like it frustrates me so much. Like obviously they're never going to put it out there, but like you see a lot of these volume built homes, like the standard they're built to, like it's only a 25 to 30 year standard. Look, they may get 40, 50 years out of them, but like seriously, throwing a whole home in the ground every 40, 50 years, like that is not sustainable.
No.
Like we need to be building homes that are around for lifetimes. Like
Yeah, and then the occupants inside to be, comfortable, healthy, and want to be there for a long time.
yeah,
The people that move into these volume homes, it's really cold, and kids are getting sick, so I can't wait to upgrade to the next thing. But it's such a shame that house even went up,
yeah,
because someone's going
yeah.
to take over that house or it gets full. It's just it's such a poor mentality.
Well, I think so. One of the notes I've got here today to talk about with you, like you like having a better understanding of where the materials are coming from and how they're sourced and all those types of things, because to me that's a big part of it. Like it's not just about a home getting demolished every 25, 30, 40, 50 years. Like it's all the materials, the labor, the transport, the fuel, like everything that went into building that house has also been a waste.
Yeah.
So like we have a huge responsibility as builders to really, really have a think about, how we source our materials, how the companies that we source materials from are making them, or like all those things. Like that's obviously something you're passionate about as well.
Yeah, one of our big posts that we recently did was we had a bit of a challenge with FSC certification from a supplier who had stamped their materials with FSC certification. And I dug a little deeper, knowing me, I like to investigate things because something didn't quite smell right. The actual certification was very broad, and I had a conversation with the plantation and then the sawmill. They couldn't give me any answers about if they could guarantee a certain product that we were specifying on our project actually had the certification. Paperwork said it did, but am I going to get that order and that's definitely going to be FSC certified? I actually found out that material was not certified, even though
Yeah.
pretty crazy to hear that people are just, blatantly stamped with very important, rigorously tested certificate, and get away with it without someone around.
Oh, mate, I think there's going to be a lot of that highlighted in the near future. Like we've got a couple of projects going on the site at the moment, which we haven't done any socials or anything on. We're experimenting a little bit, and we've got some pretty high standards with the materials that we're putting into them, and like with the grand plan being that everything in them has to be 100% recyclable at its end use, and everything's got to be sustainably sourced and green tagged and all these types of things. And similar thing, like two of the products that we haven't done them now, but we were very close to purchasing. Like everything, all the data sheets on their websites, like everything was saying environmentally friendly, sustainably sourced, good for the environment. And when I kept digging and talking to reps and getting asked for more information, it actually come back that they were terrible. They were full of plastics, and it was completely misleading all the other information I'd been given. So, and that's why it's a minefield for us, for clients, for designers and architects. Like I feel like there's a lot of people out there, a lot of manufacturers in the industry that are just throwing these claims on things now because they know sustainability sells.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good that we have that drive to check these things, Wayne. Like there's potentially a lot of people that just want to tick that box, and unless you have that drive and that attitude to kind of dive a bit deeper and really be passionate about what's actually going on in the project, that you want to move in that direction. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, mate. I love your You sort of started touching on it before, but you've got a. Can you tell us what your campsite rule is?
The campsite rule. It's a really simple rule, and honestly, I think if everyone could take it into most facets of life, the world would be a better place. It's simple as leaving somewhere better than you found. When especially I love the outdoors. I'm a big camper myself. There's nothing worse than rocking up to a place that has, bottles, cans in a fireplace, right next to a river.
Yeah,
Same kind of scenario, potentially with a building site. There's shit everywhere. You arrive, you do your work. Maybe you clean it a bit better than the way you left it. The idea is same thing with campsite, play with people. If you might find something that might be a bit down in the dumps, you know, maybe throw an arm around them and say, are you doing all right? That kind of stuff. Like the campsite rule really works in most facets of life, in my opinion.
mate. I reckon that's a good mission statement for you for Nook Construction. Like that's it, done.
Right, true. Yeah, I might.
The yeah, the campsite rule, leaving everything better than you found it. Like yeah, and I've never thought about it, but you're 100% right. It applies to people as well. Like, do you yeah, that's yeah, blown me away.
I've stumped you. That's good.
The so just you touched on then checking on people, throwing your arm around someone, and that. Like, are you like is culture and team building and that sort of thing play a big part in Nook?
Yeah, definitely. We've had it, through our employees and probably personally as well. We've definitely gone through some challenging, inside and outside work scenarios. Certainly with two employees that stick out, they went through some real big challenges. Yeah, almost a little bit emotional talking about it. But yeah, it was tough to see these guys really being hit hard. Um, Sometimes, it was good that they were coming to work and they felt like this was a place where they can kind of disconnect. But it's really important for us to identify those guys that seem a bit quiet, seem a bit off. Usually, there's days where they can be really brimming, and then they come on a Thursday, they seem a bit down. So it's really important, especially for an employer, to take that leadership role and say, "How are you? Like, what's happening? You seem a bit different. Let's chat." And that's another thing why after a lot of those experiences, we've taken on the responsibility of doing 4-day weeks. We just believe that work-life balance is becoming a really important thing, especially to our employees. We just really want to push work isn't everything.
Yeah.
We've all got life to live, and you need to go out there and live life's bloody shit.
So what's some things you do with your team to like team building exercise, or like do you have regular toolbox talks and that sort of thing?
We're so small, we keep it very casual. So every month we'll finish up on Thursday because we usually don't work Fridays. And we'll pop down and do a social thing together, whether that just be as simple as going to the pub, or we'll finish up early and we'll do lunch together. And we really do discuss about what's going on in life. And I think when we start to talk about it, if someone's moving house, you can start to dive in a bit. You don't really want to go directly to, in my experience, I haven't jumped straight to, you seem upset, what's wrong? We kind of pry on, we want to hear the narrative behind what's happening in life, and then maybe go, how's that working out for you? You're finding a new home, you're moving out with a new partner, you're moving out, maybe moving away from you. And then that kind of story kind of leads on. People just seem to be a little bit open up a bit easier. And yeah, you'd be amazed by the kind of stories that come from that. So
Yeah, it's a hard one, eh? Because I know we've even just this year we've had a few difficult challenges with a couple of with a particular employee, and it's very hard to know. And there's definitely been some things this year that I'll put my hand up and say I overlooked and should have listened to the rest of the team about certain team members and all those types of things. But it is a hard thing, like as a boss, trying to keep so many different personalities and opinions and cultures and values and keep those cogs turning every single day. Like it's a hard job to keep the keep the peace between a lot of different people.
Yeah, it's amazing how as builders how many kind of roles and marks we need to we need to wear. It's hard to kind of pluck out what another kind of industry that's so intense like ours.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
There's just like there's so many. I don't know. Everyone would have heard me explain it. Like you, it's not like you're going and you're sitting in your own cubicle every day. Like you're in a company that's got 10 or 100 employees. Like you're physically working like side by side. Like you have to help each other, whether it's lifting something or uh, one person's marking and one's cutting. Like you're always working as a team, and it's hard to keep that team on top every single day.
yeah, and as you said, with the different personalities and cultures, some people might be they're not used to working with other people. They might not have done team sports. All those kinds of things come into building that kind of attitude and personality. And if that's something not going to work in your business, you probably need to identify that pretty quick, I suppose. Because if you're very
Yeah,
orientated to get someone that's quite independent, has worked previously as an independent person, might probably want to work out. So
yeah, yeah. No, I think it's funny. It's a reflection of I guess ourselves because like my core team seemed to be a very quiet. Like most people would notice, like none of our team members tag or share our stuff. Like they don't. We very rarely have them in our videos because we respect. Like they're laid back guys and they don't want to put themselves out there. And then when you do get like, which we've had recently, like you do get a team member come in that's really like up front and thinks they know everything and tries to sort of take over a bit, that upsets the apple cart. And
yeah,
it's hard when you got those different types of people trying to blend in with each other. So it's just something you got to, as a boss, you got in the industry, you got to be working on every single day, like taking a bit of one-on-one time with each other and seeing what's going on.
yeah, and I think that helps being a small crew, and if you are able to jump into the trenches with your team from time to time and really do connect, see how the lay of the land is working. There's nothing kind of worse than a disconnected kind of business person. You really have to take time to do some hours with you guys and see how everything works out, really communicate with them and see what
Yeah,
we can do better. We're the boss, but we're also having a responsibility to you guys to make sure that you're getting job satisfaction.
yeah.
And I think
No,
that
mate, I
is
think
with us getting involved.
yeah, I think team building is really important. We do a yearly work trip. We've actually recently had ours, and we've done them for about 14 or 15 years now. And for me, the biggest thing is sitting back and like just seeing how the team work with each other. And like right at like the last couple of months, we had a few difficult employees early in the year, but the last couple of months, like you can tell when the team's on fire because they get through so much. Like we've only got a small team, but when they're on fire and all the pistons are working, they just smash out the work. And like taking them away for a few days, it's very like I love sitting back and just seeing how everyone gels with each other and like not expecting me to do all the cooking and the washing up and everything and who jumps in and helps out and all that type of thing. And like over the years, I remember probably a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, we had this guy in our crew that it was the first year he'd been on the trip and he just did nothing like for the whole 5 days and like just sat back. Like as soon as everything was cooked, he'd jump in and then he'd wander off or go to have a shower or whatever while everyone else cleaned up. And it wasn't just me that picked up, like the whole team picked up on it. And like he only lasted a few weeks after we got back. But it's like I think as business owners, you need to do those sorts of things because when you get people away from the job site, you actually get to see what they're really like and how they interact with each other. And on this recent trip, it was really good because one thing that shits me more than anything is turning up to site and smoko and things, and everybody's just on their phone, just flicking. Like, and it was really good to see on this trip recently. Like everyone, like they were bloody hitting golf balls and they were kicking footies and everyone was helping cook and clean up and like it's just for me as a boss, I get so much out of that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, mate. If you haven't done work trips, you need to do them. And
Yeah, right. So do you
they,
set that up as quite an interactive, or is it just kind of a quite a laid back kind of situation? Like, how do you set that up?
mate. Well, like I said, we've done it for a very long time now. I never had anything like this with anywhere I ever worked, and we just start. The first time we did it was back when I had a heap of carpenters, and obviously I've grown up a lot and changed, had a lot of growth and things, and it's been really funny seeing the growth over the years. So actually, it'd be longer than that. It's probably 15. It's probably about 18 years since we did our first one, and back then I was a lot younger. We had a very young team, a large team, like 40 plus carpenters. And mate, it was just a massive piss up. Like I remember one year we took over, like to combine, we had over a full pallet of piss. Like there was 44 odd cartons or something for a long weekend. Um, and it's funny how it's changed because back then that's all it was. It was a break from work and everyone just took advantage of me as a boss and they just drank as much as they could, ate as much as they could and wrote themselves off for a few days. And it's been really good. Like I get a lot looking back at that and just seeing how far I've grown as well. So like now our work trip, so we do it every August. So up here in Brisbane, we have the Royal Echo holiday. So you've only got to have 2 days off work and we get a 5-day holiday. So we leave on the Wednesday. And so every year it's something different. So we've done charter boats. We've done quite a bit of camping. We've stayed in hotels. We've done all sorts of things, but it's generally based around outdoor activities because that's what most of my team are into: forward driving, going to the beach, fishing, those types of things. But for the last probably good 5 or 6 years, they are just a really relaxing, connecting trip now. Like I send a message out like months in advance. So I don't just take my core team. I generally put it out to my contractors as well. So, and it ranges. Some years we might just have our own team, like 6 to 10 or 8 to 10 guys. And then other years, if contractors and that come, like we've had as many as, I think one year we had 36 guys because our plumbers, sparkies, all these different people come. But it's just so much more chilled now. Like you can see the team and how they interact and like everyone gets in and helps out. But I basically put it out to them and say, hey, what do you want to do? And they give me a few options and it can range from, we've done, I think we've been to Fraser Island about 9 or 10 times. Like everyone loves Fraser Island, but mate, it's just a good team building exercise. Like to spend a bit of time away from work, chill out, listen to some tunes, have a few beers, tell some stories, and then people generally split up into their own things. Like the one we just went on, like some of the boys, mad fishermen, they just went and fished all day and mud crabbing, and other guys went and had games of golf. But we all come back. We all overnight we sit around the fire, we have a few drinks, we crank the tunes, we have a sing along, and it's good times. But yeah, I'd recommend it to any business. I think that it's not for everyone, but you really, like my team gets so much out of it. Like you can see how they connect and how they talk to each other, and when you come back after those trips, the morale and the work that gets done is always high. So it's worth.
That's amazing. That's very inspiring. That's something I'm definitely going to do for sure. That's a really good idea.
But I think it's like I've seen it over the years. So I've got a few other builders now that come. Good mate of mine, Justin, from Abode. Like he's been with us for. He's probably come along the last 6 or so years. But it's funny because when you do your first one, it's the same as what I was saying back when we did our first ones. Like when you do it the first time, if your team aren't really sure what's going on, they just see it as a chance to drink as much as they can, eat as much as they can. So it does take a couple of years to sort of get that, I guess, rhythm that it's not about just having a big piss up. It's about connecting. It's about chilling out. It's about talking about family, sports. Like a couple of the guys this year, like were playing games around the fire, like naming bloody songs and all sorts of things. Like it's just for me, it's really good to see people connecting through similar interests because then when you get back to work, they've got other things to talk about.
Totally. And work is going to be quite full on. Like we're in an industry where it's, the concentration has to be high, the intensity is there. Sometimes you just want to get some food into you and keep working. And it kind of feels so quick and fast paced, but it's awesome to be able to actually force the break on and be like, no, let's chill out. Let's really have a discussion with one another, which is part of why we get away and we'll go down and pub. But it sounds like a nice work treat almost.
Yeah,
great idea. I love it.
Yeah, so we cover all the costs. Like the boys don't have to put their hand in their pocket. Like we cover everything for the weekend, and yeah, like I said, it's really changed. It's gone from that free piss sort of weekend to now they just really appreciate it. Like and it does it really helps with the teamwork. But mate, one of the other things I wanted to get onto and talk about today, like I was going to ask you, and you sort of sent it through as well. Um, but like talking about how has a community of builders broken through keeping trade secrets and being able to lift one another up, because this is a big one for me. You've obviously heard me talk about the stories back in the day when I was starting and like trying to ask for help, and builders just say, fuck mate, it's the industry, harden up, like deal with it. Whereas I think it's like there's so many of us now putting ourselves out there on social media, openly talking about what we do. Obviously I'm super passionate about creating a new industry by through education, like through builders' personal growth and things. But it's obviously something you're very passionate as well. Like you're quite happy to put all your trade secrets out there and all your color coding and your site signs. Like I think it's fantastic. Like you're inspiring people.
Yeah, and that only came from being inspired, Dwayne. Like other people inspired me, and it's kind of on me inspired to inspire others, I think.
Yeah, and I think if we all continue to do that, it's our clients are going to benefit.
100%. I mean, there really is a lot of premise behind rising tide lifts all boats. That's as simple as that. I've learned so much from other builders who I consider friends, best friends. And the ability to, I was just to a close builder friend just before I jumped on the podcast. And he wasn't his happiest. Shout out to Brad. He wasn't his happiest, but like it's important to be able to call the phone and be able to vent about a shit situation that happened. Someone that really can play. Like it's so good to have that pair of ears. And I couldn't imagine being in an industry where you couldn't call up, what you might consider a competitor and discuss something, a win or a loss. I've got a friend who he owns a small business in a pretty competitive industry, and it's just a dog-eat-dog world. There's no love lost between one another. People block each other on social media, hide stories, and like that's crazy. Like
Yeah,
going to
it.
dinner with arguably my competitor down the road. Like, it's amazing how we kind of. I don't know if I'm in a bit of a bubble here, but the community of small builders is so good to be. And a big part of it was the builders breakfast that you would teed up, which was national wide. We wouldn't have had that connection with you and all of my friends that I've met through this system. So, yeah, it's been
Yeah. No, well, mate, the builders breakfast really took off quickly, and then obviously COVID hit and threw a spanner in the works. But like, yeah, we've still got our group going up here in Brisbane. I see just recently down there, Beck Bishops got it going again down in Melbourne. So and actually, I think Hamish and a couple of boys are catching up regularly as well. So it's like it's better for all of us. Like, why sit back and I guess deal with the struggles and the business pains and the difficult industry when you can share it with all your colleagues and improve together. Like, and that's the whole thing behind Live Life Build. Like, Live Life Build is just an incredible community of builders that talk and share information. But like, you see the people on Instagram now, like I'm sure you follow them, like the Zanetto boys and Sean, like the Tassie Builders blog. Like, there's so many guys out there now that are just putting themselves out there and doing a really good job of educating people.
Yeah, and educating and inspiring. That's probably one of the big pushes of really sharing all these ideas and mentality and little tricks. You inspire other people to push the boundary, and that's
Yeah.
what it's about. That's where things are learned. That's where diamonds are.
Yeah, I like that. And then you, because you're pretty big on getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes, very big.
Yeah.
Probably our taking on full on, almost, not intimidating projects. Something that you think might be a bit beyond you, whether that be, I've got a bit of a mentality of, we've only kind of been around for 3 years. Should I be taking on this? I'm like, yeah, bloody hell, should be taking on this. Like, let's give it a crack. Let's throw ourselves in the deep end. Do as much as we can to set ourselves up for a success, and believe in it. And if it's a failure along the way, that's an awesome way to learn. in my opinion. So,
Well,
and
mate,
all,
I I've just talked to Shay about this today. Like, I believe my success and where I am right now is because I started accepting failure.
mm,
Like, I used my failure to as a superpower. Like, every time you have something go wrong or not quite right, like, you just got to look at it. Like, why did that happen? What do I need to do to not make it happen again? And you just use it for growth. Like, instead of dwelling on it.
yeah, at the end of the job, once we've done a handover, we actually what's called we perform an autopsy. So on the project, we actually pluck out our successes. We make a list, wins and losses, why we won and why did we lose, and then we kind of break down a few top points on that, and then we can implement new things for our next project.
So, who is that something you do or your whole team does?
Whole team.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fantastic, mate. We recently did this on that CLT house we finished, and one of our guys, like, he was we knew he was under a lot of pressure for the whole job, and yeah, by doing that, I like the word autopsy, like you just used. Like, we he told us, like, we put too much pressure on him, like, and so yeah, we've put things in place to help deal with that on the next jobs. But I think that's a really really good sign of your leadership, that you're getting your team to do those autopsies at the end of the job, and because it makes them feel like they're part of something, doesn't it?
Oh, and they're your team. They're as valuable. Their word is as valuable as yours. You can't be across everything.
Yeah,
As much as we try to be, but they might see things that we could adjust, and their opinion is so valuable.
yeah,
And subbies as well. Why didn't that go well? Let's have a chat. You know.
yeah. So, are you big on your off-site systems and processes, mate? Like, how's that all work at Nook?
Yeah, very big on it. There's always room to improve though, and I wish I had a month or two to really kind of refine all that stuff. But I think a big part of our offsite process is our cost proposal system is one of our most important tools. We've really put a lot of effort into refining that system, that document, and how we work through our preliminary process. We just feel as though that's how to win projects.
Need
Um,
to get on Quotes, mate. It'll help you out. Yeah, it is like, mate. The whole reason we did Quotes, like, I believe that proposal document is the most important. It's more important than the contract.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, we reference it all the time when through a build, post build, all that stuff. It is so valuable. The more information you can put in that, and the more transparent you can be, I feel as though it just makes the whole process so much better. Our
Yeah,
documents, they're not 4 pages. I think the last one floating around the 38 page. It's a lot of info, but if you sit down and go through it with the clients, it makes a lot of sense to them. They feel a lot more comfortable about jumping into the build, which is awesome. So it's
just
almost palpitation of excitement.
well, it makes the whole job so much easier. Like, it's really easy. Like, this is what you're getting. Here's the scope of works. Here's the product. Like, if there is any questions, like, this is what we had. This is what we got. Like, it solves so many issues. But
Yeah.
mate, what's next for Nook? Like, what's the goal of, like, all the social media put out there, all these color coding? Like, what's the ultimate for Nook?
Oh, the ultimate. The idea behind Nook is, we're a small part. The idea of when you think about a Nook, it's a small little boutique place that's quite exciting. It's quite eye catching. We want to remain that small kind of eye catching business. Essentially, it's in our name. So we want to remain around that 3, 4, 5 project mark maximum. I still want to be on site with my guys while also working with clients, new, old. And I feel as though that's where our market is, and I think that's where I'm passionate. But as far as like moving forward, I think where the industry is moving is where I'm passionate as well. We're looking for sustainable. We're looking at passive house. I think that's really going to fold into high-end architecture, and that really jazz. And yeah, that's where I want to move into. Obviously, the clientele are picking up in that kind of realm. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
No, I love it, mate. I love it. Just a couple of quick things before we go, mate.
Yeah,
What do you do to get out? Like, obviously, can be a pretty stressful thing. Like you touched on before, you love your camping and stuff. Like, what's your breakaway?
my breakaway. I literally just got back from a tiny little island in the Pacific, literally like between North America and Australia. 10 days of tropical fly fishing. So
All right.
incredible. No,
What's tropical fly fishing? Like, I assume it's the same, but is it in streams? Is it on the ocean? Like,
no, it's right on the equator, not a cloud in the sky. We're targeting some pretty amazing species, and it's literally like one of the smallest islands on the equator. So, but the idea was, get away from the phone, no emails, full disconnection, which I actually haven't properly done in kind of the past 3 years. Being able to, I've always kind of been conscious of wanting to have that connection and the finger on the pulse. But how refreshing to get away and not think about work, which hasn't happened in probably that 3 year mark. Kind of embarrassing to say, but I think a lot of people probably in that same boat.
mate, that's fantastic. So, was that a family thing, or just you and the mates, or
Oh,
just you?
No, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. So.
No, well, it seems to be a common theme for traders and builders. Like that's our breakaway is either the sand or the bush or getting out on the beach or the boat or the four-wheel drive. So good on you.
Yeah. I also, you'll find me in some high-end restaurant around Melbourne, so I'm a massive foodie wanker. So yeah, a lot of the guys, a lot of subbies give me a lot of shit for that, which is nice. Like when we do our cook-ups on site, it's not sausage rolls. It's usually some ridiculous little piece of chicken or something.
So you're a bit of a cook yourself?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, massively. Yeah, for sure. Inspired by my. So yeah.
That's awesome. Do you like this ties back to what we almost started with? Like, do you bring that to your jobs? Like, do you connect with clients because you're passionate about cooking?
Oh, when it comes to discussions about kitchens, I am. It's ridiculous. Like especially with one of our previous jobs that we finished at the start of the year. I think when we were going through our conversation with you, Dwayne, I had built this range hood, and I had put so much effort into making this thing silent, the most powerful unit that I could, so that literally you could cook a steak in the middle of it, firing on all cylinders, cook it fast, but also with silent and no smoke. So that's something that's I indulge in massively, and I love the idea of being able to cook a steak inside and being able to set that up for a client. This is what we need to do to make this happen, and they're just all in on it. They love cooking as well.
That's awesome.
And when we handed over, he sent me a video of that steak cooking, and it was just clear, no noise. It was just the best feeling, and he was like, every bit of work that you put into it, 100%. So.
Mate, that is an awesome story. I think that needs to tie into your mission and vision statement as well. But,
good one, actually.
But mate, look, thanks for taking the time out this afternoon. Really appreciate it, and keep up the great work. I love. So, just before we go, where can everyone find you? Instagram, YouTube, social media.
We're mainly on social media. On Instagram, we mainly do stories. So you're looking at 4 hours to kind of matches. We do a little bit of storyboard stuff, but if you've got any questions, like I've got guys, reaching out and having a chat to me, and I remember this story that you put up. What was the kind of process? I'm more than happy to have a phone call. Here to help. So, but yeah, mainly Instagram. We've got our website, we've got our finish projects. We don't really do the flashy stuff on our Instagram. We try to be a bit more dirty and detail oriented on Instagram. So yeah.
No, mate, I love it. Well, yeah, look, like I said, appreciate you coming on this afternoon. Keep doing great work, mate. And I'm just going to throw a challenge out there to everyone before we go today to tag Nook and Dwayne Pearce and show us your organised, colour-coded job sites.
Get on it, people. You'll love it. Trust me.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Mike.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.